Tonight on KGW News, 6 days after this home collapsed, rescuers make a heartwarming discovery. Plus, help is on the way for hospitals as Omicron cases start to stretch staff to their limits. But first, are some teachers calling out sick when they're not?
It just blew me away.
The accusation from PPS as more schools close for remote learning. Your news starts now. First tonight, many more schools announced plans today to go to remote learning or temporarily shut down. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. Reynolds, Gresham Barlow, and North Clackamas school districts canceled class at all schools for tomorrow, while the 5 Portland schools on your screen right now will be shifting to remote learning starting Tuesday. You can see the full list of closures on KGW.com. The changes are due to so many students or staff being exposed to COVID and needing to quarantine. But the Portland Public School District suspects some teachers are calling out sick when they don't need to. Catherine Cook explains.
And it's been a rocky start to January because of my family having COVID.
5th grade teacher Maggie Burkett had to take all of last week off because she was sick. This week, her 2 kids are homesick with COVID. She and her husband have been taking turns caring for them. All the while, Burkett thinks of her students at Access Academy in Portland Public Schools. Even while caring for her kids at home, Burkett says she's been communicating with her students' families, coworkers, substitutes, and checking her district email. She checked it again on Wednesday.
When I received a letter that accused contracted teaching staff of breaking our contract by organizing in some way to not attend and not do our work. And it just blew me away.
The letter came from Sharon Reese, Chief of Human Resources with Portland Public Schools. In it, Reese noted the vast majority of teachers are showing up to school and taking approved leave when needed. But she also wrote, quote, "We are getting regular reports of educators being asked by colleagues to call in sick with the intention of causing the district to close schools. Not only does this undermine our core mission by depriving students of in-person learning, it also detracts from the ability of educators to take leave to deal with COVID or other legitimate reasons. It is unlawful for educators to participate in any sort of coordinated action to be absent for anything other than a legitimate reason under district policy."
Do you think there's any chance that some district educators could be calling in sick for purposes that aren't right or legal?
I don't. It's been a very difficult period of managing the surge in COVID. There have been a lot of absences because of that. And a lot of absences are not predictable right now.
On Thursday, the PPS Teachers Union wrote a scathing response to the district's accusations. It said in part, "This message from PPS is off base, demoralizing to all educators, and an insult to our profession. We are nearly 2 years into this pandemic, and in the face of the Omicron surge, PPS leaders still have no plan to provide sufficient testing or maintain the staffing levels needed to follow COVID-19 safety protocols."
It seemed that the intention of the letter was to either shame us or intimidate us.
As of Thursday, at least 8 Portland public schools had moved to temporary remote learning. It's a scenario Burkett recognizes is not only taxing for parents and students, but also teachers. She says the district gives them very little time to transition to remote learning. So while the accusations of misusing sick time to close schools are hurtful, most of all, Burkett says, they just don't make sense.
Going absent for even part of a day creates a larger workload than we already have.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
If you want to hear more from local teachers on what it's like in schools right now, our reporter Christine Pitawanich sat down with 4 of them to learn about their experiences. You can watch that story now on the KGW YouTube channel. There are now just under 800 people in the hospital with COVID in Oregon. As you can see from this graph, that number has gone up sharply in the past few weeks. An analyst with OHSU predicts it will keep going up until the end of the month and peak higher than what we saw with the Delta surge. One of the big concerns is how to help already burned out staff at Oregon hospitals who are now dealing with this influx of patients. The state announced today it will bring in nearly 3,000 extra people to help. That includes as many as 1,600 medical professionals as temporary support, as well as another 700 Oregon National Guard soldiers on top of the 500 already approved. Oregon Health Authority Director Patrick Allen said the extra staff should provide some relief.
I think we're doing absolutely everything we think we can to get as much staff as we possibly can. We're also learning more every day about what the surge might look like. You know, it really matters a lot if there are relatively fewer people in ICUs and relatively more in medical surgical beds that are there for a shorter period of time, which is some of what the emerging data says.
The state is reporting nearly 9,800 new positive cases today, and Allen suggested we might not see those numbers go all that much higher because the state is at the limit of its testing capability. Washington is also taking new action to deal with the COVID surge. Governor Inslee is deploying National Guard members to several emergency rooms. Their mission is to help with non-medical tasks. He's also calling on hospitals to suspend non-urgent procedures. Hospitals in Washington are also seeing a dramatic increase in COVID hospitalizations and serious staffing shortages.
We currently have over 2,000 COVID hospitalizations across the state. And COVID patients today make up about 18% of all the people in our hospitals and 22% of our ICUs. And unfortunately, those numbers are going to continue to climb.
The governor is also calling on retired healthcare workers to temporarily return to work and help hospitals get through this staffing crisis. You probably heard the Supreme Court today struck down President Biden's requirement that large companies mandate COVID vaccines for their workers. But a couple of large Portland-based companies are still moving ahead with their mandates. Nike is set to fire unvaccinated workers as soon as this weekend. That's according to a report from the Oregonian. The company is requiring all employees who've not received a qualified exemption to be fully vaccinated by Saturday. Columbia Sportswear is also set to start firing unvaccinated workers at the start of February. The company tells us it has a small number of employees not vaccinated who also did not apply for an exemption. Now to an update on a shooting that left 2 people dead in southeast Portland. Police say 74-year-old Karen Friedstrom was shot by her son, Justin Friedstrom, who then shot himself. This happened Tuesday afternoon in the Hazelwood neighborhood. The neighborhood was on lockdown as police investigated. There's no word what may have led up to the shooting. Developing tonight, we've learned a man badly hurt in a North Portland hit and run has died. That makes a total of 5 people who've now died in traffic crashes in Portland since the start of the new year. One of the 2 most recent crashes, one happened just before 6 a.m. today at the on-ramp to I-205 northbound at Gleason. Police responded to reports of a crash and found a pedestrian pinned under the vehicle. The person was killed. About 12 hours earlier on North Denver near the I-5 overpass, another pedestrian was struck in what authorities are calling a hit and run. We learned that man died in the hospital. We talked with the executive director of Oregon Walks, a nonprofit that advocates for pedestrians.
We have to do better. We have to be better. We can't continue to just say, hey, we'll let staff handle this, or, we'll continue to churn out the process that's always been. No, we have to get radical.
Last year, more than 60 people died in traffic crashes in Portland, the highest number of fatalities since the mid-1990s. You're out of luck when it comes to dropping off trash at the Metro transfer stations. Starting tomorrow, they'll be closing their South and Central transfer stations until Monday. Right now, they're only allowing commercial garbage trucks into those stations. Officials blame COVID-related staff shortages and the weather. When snow shut down I-84 last month, the garbage trucks also couldn't get to the landfills in eastern Oregon.